All right, Robert Saleh signed, sealed, and officially delivered to the 49ers, the boomerang defensive coordinator. That means it's time to talk about what the team has in store next. Of course, we'll discuss the construction of Robert Saleh's defensive staff, but we do have to note that special teams coordinator is still a vacancy for San Francisco. And defense was definitely a problem last year, number 26 in EPA, but special teams was even worse. Ranked dead last, number 32. They lost 63.8 expected points. We can't forget that poor special teams was the difference for the 49ers between a negative point differential and a positive point differential. So I expect them to fill that vacancy this week. And Brant Boyer, who was Saleh's special teams coordinator in New York, actually predated Saleh there back to 2016. Good special teams coordinator, respected around the league. I think he's the favorite for the 49ers. Either Brant Boyer or Chris Tabor, longtime special teams coach who also has experience in the top role. 49ers interviewed Chris Banjo and Jet Modkins, both assistant special teams coaches, but between Tabor and Brant Boyer, you've got head special teams coach experience, and maybe Robert Saleh even recommended that the 49ers take a look at Boyer, who's a big outdoorsman. I'm out on the farm right now. You can see the barn behind me. Boyer owns land out in Montana. Said that's going to be his forever home. Loves hunting, loves fishing. Big outdoorsman, versatile guy, and has built versatile, good special teams units over the years. Several top 5 finishes with the New York Jets since 2016 on special teams. I will maintain, though, as we talk about what the 49ers have to do next to build this, they've got to have that subconscious focus on special teams set. And maybe the subconscious focus starts consciously. They haven't called a fake punt under Kyle Shanahan. They ran one fake punt a couple years ago, but that was Mitch Wisnowski improvising, and on the play there was a holding penalty that called it back. But I think that the mentality needs to be special teams go out and win a game instead of special teams don't lose the game. I think that's been the problem because Brian Schneider was considered a really good special teams coordinator over a decade with Seattle. And his units obviously struggled progressively more and more as his time with the 49ers went by. Richard Hightower, his predecessor with the 49ers, wasn't renewed after 2021 when they finished number 26 in special teams. He just posted with his Chicago special teams unit the number 5 EPA or DVOA in football. So the variable here that is constant is San Francisco and Shanahan has talked about special teams, just don't screw it up. I think that the mentality, even if it is Boyer that they sign or if they go to Chris Tabor, I think the mentality for the 49ers has to be special teams, go and take care of business. Go and win us some games. That's how the 49ers can build a super team. So that's what this week is going to be about for San Francisco. Fill that special teams coordinator spot. Then you have the 3 tops of the power structure settled for San Francisco. And while that's happening, Robert Saleh can build out his defensive staff, all while Kyle Shanahan works on his offensive staff. Because remember, that's not fully done yet. On the defensive side, Aaron Whitecotton, Jets defensive line coach, we'll see if he has a spot with the 49ers because he had been with San Francisco prior to going with Saleh to New York. And Tony Oden, the defensive backs coach, we'll see if he has a spot with the 49ers. Chris Kasarik is the D-line coach right now. And in the defensive backfield, Daniel Bullocks has worked his way up to be the main DB coach. Robert Saleh had multiple DB coaches back in his time with the 49ers. You had Jeff Hafley back there. He did really well for San Francisco, but it was Joe Woods in 2019 who left a lasting impact on this defense with the coverage diversifications. It wasn't just Seattle-style cover 3 once Joe Woods got there. They started mixing in quarters and cover 4, and that's when this defense took the next step. Being able to lock down receivers, confuse quarterbacks, and allow the pass rush some extra time to get home. Whatever the 49ers do, they've got to tie rush and coverage together. So that's going to be a coaching project, it's going to be a personnel project, and it's going to be something that Robert Saleh has to embrace to bring this defense back to the glory years. And those all happened during this regime under Robert Saleh and his successor, DeMeco Ryans. Then we talk about the offensive staff, and this is something that a lot of people aren't really talking about right now, but it definitely is worth paying attention to. 49ers right now don't have an official offensive coordinator. Kyle Shanahan's going to call the plays. He should call the plays. That's how good organizations, ones that are insulated against staff turnover, are built. You don't want your offensive coordinator, your play caller, to get poached and then be scrambling like the Detroit Lions are right now. So Kyle Shanahan is the play caller, but having trusted voices around him to help the 49ers work out of ruts, right, to have a big picture kind of perspective is so important. They had that in 2021 when Mike McDaniel had earned the trust to be called the offensive coordinator. And they want to do that with Clay Kubiak this year, although they have to go through a formal interview process, and they have made a couple interviews already. But I think that Clay Kubiak is going to be the guy that ultimately gets that job. They've got to make sure that that is signed, sealed, and delivered. And then they maybe kick the tires on somebody like Bobby Slowick, former 49ers pass game coordinator who was with the Houston Texans as their offensive coordinator and was just let go by DeMeco Ryans. Maybe Slowick is able to come back into the fold. We'll see how the 49ers round out that offensive coaching staff, but it is not in Kyle Shanahan's fully desired state just yet. So there's still work to do on all three fronts. That's what this next week is going to be about. We've got the AFC and NFC championship games tomorrow. I'm out in the countryside right now, out on the farm right now. But tomorrow, we'll be in New York City to watch those AFC and NFC championship games. Team bar crawl. And then we're going to get to watch the 49ers continue building out this staff. Maybe they make a couple reserve futures contract signings over the course of this week, but I would expect this to be more of a focus on coaching for San Francisco in the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl happens. And then from the Super Bowl, they're going to turn the page to starting to focus on the NFL Combine. Following the Combine, it's all about free agency. So the two big pieces are in. The leader of the offense, Kyle Shanahan, we know that, and the leader of the defense, Robert Saleh, we know that for sure. Signed, sealed, and delivered as the boomerang coordinator. Now special teams needs to be taken care of, and then the minutia of the staff. That's going to be the next domino after that. And then team building, as far as the roster goes, is going to take shape in earnest. This is all part of the 49ers' big-time goal to get back to that Super Bowl and actually win it this time. A lot of work has already happened over the course of this offseason. Crazy to think that this time last year, they're gearing up to play the Lions in the NFC Championship game. Now both the Lions and the 49ers are eliminated in 2025. Now they're both working on filling out their coaching staffs, and San Francisco has made a big step. Robert Saleh's aboard, but much more work remains to be done. So long from the countryside. Glad that I got to do an update here from Tennessee, from Franklin for you, before we head off to the big city.